Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Today we're confronting a tectonic shift in global security. We're looking at the absolute cutting edge of military tech and its immediate implications.
Hmm.
For years, the idea of weapons traveling at these just unimaginable speeds, that was firmly science fiction.
Pure sci-fi.
But now it's very much a stark reality, and it's fundamentally reshaping military doctrines, power dynamics, really everything across the globe.
Indeed. We are absolutely witnessing the dawn of a new era in warfare, no question. Our focus today is on hypersonic missiles, so weapons that move at least 5 times the speed of sound. They're capable of hitting targets with just unprecedented speed and agility. What's truly transformative here, I think, is how these systems are challenging the established defense paradigms, forcing nations to completely rethink their strategies.
Right. So we're going to unpack why these aren't just, faster missiles. They're a true game changer. Redefining combat itself. We'll explore the intense global race for this technology. It's definitely a race. And then we'll zero in on a nation that has decisively entered this very elite club, India.
We have a compelling set of sources here, official statements, some really detailed technical reports, recent news dispatches too. They give us a pretty comprehensive and I think critical view of this pivotal development.
Exactly. And this discussion, it should illuminate not just the technical breakthroughs, which are fascinating in themselves, but also the profound strategic advantages and the ripple effects these advancements are already having, right now on international security. Our objective is simple. Help you, our listener, understand not just what is happening in this incredibly fast-moving landscape, but precisely why it matters so profoundly for the future of global power dynamics. Okay, so to really understand this seismic shift, we first need to get our heads around what hypersonic actually means. What separates these missiles from everything we've known before? And why is Mach 5 plus the critical threshold? What's so special about that number?
Absolutely. Good place to start. When we talk hypersonic speeds, we're talking about anything exceeding Mach 5. So 5 times the speed of sound. Just for context, at sea level, Mach 1 is what? About 1,200 and 225 kilometers per hour, roughly 760 miles per hour. So Mach 5 is over 6,100 kilometers per hour, or more than 800 miles per hour. It's blisteringly fast.
Okay, that's fast.
But, and this is crucial, the sheer velocity is only half the story. What truly revolutionizes warfare is their ability to maneuver in flight. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles, right? They soar high into the atmosphere, follow a predictable parabolic arc, which makes them relatively easier to track and intercept once you figure out that trajectory.
You know where it's going, basically.
Pretty much. Hypersonic cruise missiles, though, they're different. They are air-breathing systems. They fly at much lower altitudes, staying within the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And critically, they can change course dramatically throughout their flight. So their trajectory isn't fixed after launch. They can swerve, they can dodge, adapt. It makes them incredibly evasive.
Right. Imagine trying to hit a bullet with another bullet, but the first bullet can suddenly just sort of jink left or right.
That's a good analogy, yeah. That's the challenge these systems pose.
This distinction, then, this maneuverability combined with speed, this is where the real paradigm shift in modern warfare truly lies. It's not just an incremental improvement like a slightly faster missile. It's something fundamentally different.
Precisely. That combination, extreme speed plus in-flight maneuverability, it fundamentally renders many traditional defenses, like surface-to-air missiles, point defense systems, largely ineffective, or at least puts immense strain on them. Without next-generation sensors, one's capable of detecting these incredibly fast, evasive targets very early, and without interception platforms that can react with equivalent agility and speed, well, detecting and tracking them becomes an almost insurmountable challenge.
So the old ways of setting up defenses, these no-escape zones, they just don't work the same way.
They become much, much harder to enforce, maybe even irrelevant in some cases. These missiles dramatically shrink the effective battle space. And crucially, they shrink the decision-making window for an adversary. Hugely.
How much are we talking?
Well, consider the drastic reduction in warning time. We have reports suggesting a missile capable of traversing, say, 1,500 kilometers, that's about 930 miles, in approximately 3.3 minutes.
3.3 minutes from launch to impact over that distance.
Think about that. Less than 4 minutes. This isn't just a military technicality. It has profound strategic implications.
Wow. Yeah, that kind of speed and unpredictability, It absolutely challenges national command and control structures, the ones that rely on early warning, sequential, deliberative decision-making. You talk to this person, they talk to that person.
There's no time for that.
Exactly. You just don't have the luxury of time to go through multi-layered approval processes or deploy complex countermeasures. It has to be almost instantaneous. The psychological pressure, the political pressure on decision-makers in a crisis, knowing they have mere minutes to react.
Yeah.
It must be immense.
Unbelievable pressure.
This rapid reduction in decision windows, it pushes nations, maybe dangerously close, to rapid escalation, heightens the risk of miscalculation, especially in an already tense global environment.
A recipe for instability if not managed very carefully.
So, what does this all mean for the global stage? It's clear this technology sparks an intense arms race, isn't it? We know the US, Russia, China. They're at the forefront. They've already tested or, in some cases, deployed various hypersonic systems.
Indeed, the contemporary race is undeniable. But what's remarkable, I think, is how deeply rooted this ambition for hypersonic flight actually is. It's not brand new. The pursuit of scramjet technology, for instance, the engine tech behind many of these air-breathing hypersonics, it has a rich history, often classified going back to the 1950s.
The 50s, really?
Oh, yes. During the U.S. aerospace plane program back then, you had pioneers like Alexander Kartvelli. He was a famous aircraft designer, P-47 Thunderbolt F-105. And Antonio Ferri, a leading propulsion expert. They championed the scramjet approach, saw it as the way to achieve sustained hypersonic flight. Experimental scramjet engines were built, ground-tested in the U.S. and U.K. during that era. Ferri actually successfully demonstrated a scramjet producing net thrust way back in November 1964.
64.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Soviet Union's Central Institute of Aviation Motors, CIM, they were also developing advanced hydrogen-fueled dual-mode scramjets in the late 70s. Laying parallel groundwork.
So this isn't some overnight breakthrough. It's built on decades of, hard grind.
Decades of fundamental research and engineering.
That deep history, it must have laid crucial groundwork, set the stage for the flight tests we started seeing later on.
Absolutely. The first successful flight test of a scramjet was actually a joint effort. NASA and the Soviet Union back in 1991.
Joint during the Cold War era.
Well, just post, maybe. There was a fascinating period. They used a CIM-developed scramjet on a converted SM-6 missile. It was called the Co-Load Hypersonic Flying Laboratory.
Co-Load, okay.
This innovative platform hit Mach 5.5, a truly remarkable feat for its time. And this initial success, it was followed by 6 more flight tests between 92 and 98. They pushed the boundaries further, got speeds over Mach 6.4, and demonstrated sustained scramjet operation for an impressive 77 seconds. These early experiments were absolutely foundational, proved the basic viability.
And then things really picked up in the 2000s.
The pace definitely accelerated. You had the High Shot Project Australia and the U.S. collaborating, successfully demonstrating scramjet combustion in flight in 2002, a critical step. Showing controlled combustion could actually happen in that supersonic airflow. Then came NASA's HyperX project, the X-43A.
Ah, yes, the X-43A. I remember hearing about that.
Right. In 2004, it claimed the first flight of a thrust-producing scramjet-powered vehicle. Then it broke records, later achieving an astounding Mach 9.6.
Mach 9.6. That's staggering.
A speed that was once considered purely theoretical for an air-breathing engine. Monumental achievements, proving sustained scramjet operation at very high Mach numbers.
And the milestones just kept coming after that, didn't they? Through the 2010s, 2020s.
They did. DARPA and Australia's DSTO announced another successful Mach 10 scramjet flight in 2007. Continued international collaboration. The High-Fire program, another joint U.S.-Australia effort, first successful test flight in 2009, pushing the envelopes of aerothermodynamics, flight control. NASA and the U.S. Air Force's X-51A Wave Rider hit Mach 5 for about 200 seconds in 2010. Longer duration hypersonic cruise. That was key.
And India got involved around then, too.
Yes, India made a significant entry. ISRO, the space agency, successfully tested a scramjet engine on a rocket in 2016, fired for about 5 seconds at Mach 6. Then in 2019, India successfully conducted the maiden flight test of its own indigenously developed uncrewed hypersonic technology demonstrator vehicle, the HSTDV.
HSTDV, got it.
That marked a crucial step towards their own operational systems. And more recently, 2021, DARPA announced the successful flight of its hypersonic air-breathing weapon concept, the HAWC Scramjet cruise missile, for the validation for potential deployment.
So if we zoom out from these tests, the actual systems emerging now, like Russia's Avangard glide vehicle, the Kinzhal missile, the U.S. ARW program, China's DF-7, DF-ZF, they represent different approaches, right? Glide vehicles, cruise missiles.
Exactly. Diverse approaches to hypersonic delivery. But what's particularly concerning, strategically speaking, is that these systems, they're not yet governed by existing arms control treaties.
That seems like a huge gap.
It is. Most current frameworks, the ones addressing ballistic missiles like START, they simply do not account for these air-breathing hypersonic systems or these maneuverable glide vehicles. This void isn't just a technicality. It creates a dangerous landscape where traditional deterrence models built on predictable trajectories, known response times, are starting to crumble.
And why is filling that gap so hard? Is it the speed of innovation? Secrecy?
It's a combination of things. The inherent speed of innovation is definitely outpacing diplomacy. National security imperatives are pushing countries to seek that first-mover advantage. And there's the sheer difficulty of verifying these systems without incredibly intrusive inspections, which nations are often reluctant to agree to. So it's not just about the weapon capabilities themselves, it's about a potential erosion of trust, a scramble to define new rules in a radically altered strategic game. It really raises that important question: how will the international community adapt as these systems proliferate globally? Can we adapt fast enough?
A critical question indeed. Now, against this intense global backdrop, India has made its own substantial commitments and breakthroughs, decisively entering this elite club of nations with demonstrated scramjet flight capability and progressing hypersonic systems. And the key players driving this are the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, India's main defense R&D agency, and Brahmos Aerospace. That's the highly successful joint venture with Russia, right? Been a cornerstone of India's missile tech for decades.
That's right. And what's truly strategic here, I think, is India's multi-pronged approach. It's not just one program. It's a carefully orchestrated blend, leveraging international collaboration for advanced systems, like with Brahmos, while simultaneously fostering deep indigenous innovation and technological self-reliance through DRDO.
A dual strategy. Get the best of both worlds.
Essentially, yes. It allows India to rapidly acquire cutting-edge capabilities, drawing on proven foreign expertise where it makes sense, while also building a robust, sustainable domestic defense industrial base. It ensures immediate capability and secures long-term strategic autonomy. That's the goal.
Okay, let's focus on the collaborative side first. The Brahmos NG missile, that really stands out, doesn't it, as an example of evolving design and that India-Russia partnership?
It does. Brahmos NG, or Next Generation, it's envisioned as a smaller, lighter, but smarter evolution of the existing Brahmos supersonic cruise missile, which is already a very potent system. This NG version is a cutting-edge weapon system, co-developed with Russia, continuing that strong, strategically significant partnership.
And it's got high-level backing. Prime Minister Modi has expressed immense pride, I recall reading quotes.
Yes, Modi stated something like, "Every Indian takes pride when he hears that the Brahmos missile made in India is considered the deadliest and the most advanced in its category." He also mentioned, "For many countries, the Brahmos missile has emerged as their preferred choice," highlighting not just national pride, but also India's growing ambition as a defense exporter.
That's a significant ambition.
And the sentiment is echoed on the Russian side. President Putin has emphasized the traditional partnership between India and Russia, tested by time, calling it the most important stabilizing factor not only for the Asian region, but for the whole world. Suggests both nations see this defense collaboration as vital for security.
And the vision goes way back, doesn't it? Didn't Dr. APJ Abul Kalam talk about this?
He did. Remarkable foresight from Dr. Kalam, India's former president, and of course, a renowned missile scientist. Years ago, he stated that the time has come for Brahmos Aerospace to work on Mark II version of Brahmos, so that we will still be the market leader in hypersonic cruise missiles.
Hypersonic, even back then.
Even then. Shows that this push for next-gen high-speed capabilities has been ingrained in India's defense thinking for quite some time. It's a long-term strategy. And the Brahmos joint venture itself, it recently celebrated its silver jubilee in June 2023, a quarter century of successful collaboration. More recently, December 2024, Dr. Jaitirth R. Joshi, an outstanding defense scientist known for leading tactical missile programs, took over as CEO and MD of Brahmos Aerospace, signaling, a continued focus on innovation and leadership as the program moves into its next critical phase, likely focusing heavily on this NG version.
But India's ambition isn't solely reliant on these partnerships, however fruitful they are. Which brings us back to the homegrown side. What about that indigenous innovation? India's invested heavily there too, hasn't it, through DRDO's efforts? often quite classified.
Exactly. DRDO is concurrently developing its own Scramjet engine, one capable of sustained hypersonic flight. This is a truly critical step towards achieving a fully indigenous hypersonic capability, completely independent of foreign assistance if need be. And this monumental effort, it seems to be encapsulated within something called Project Vishnu, a classified Indian initiative,
Project Vishnu. Okay.
under which the Extended Trajectory Long-Duration Hypersonic Cruise Missile, or ETLDCM, was apparently developed.
So this isn't just a recent sprint. It builds on previous work.
Oh, definitely not a sprint. Project Vishnu built upon over a decade of painstaking groundwork laid during those hypersonic technology demonstrator vehicle, the HSTDV, trials we mentioned earlier. Those trials started much earlier and were absolutely crucial. They focused on validating materials for high-speed combustion, ensuring flight stability under the extreme conditions of sustained hypersonic speeds. It's a long-term, systematic approach, provides a robust scientific and engineering foundation for the current breakthroughs, shows India's methodical commitment to mastering this complex tech from the ground up.
Okay, let's delve into the specifics of Brahmos NG then. What exactly makes it this supersonic spearhead for the next generation? It sounds like a significant leap in terms of adaptability deployment.
It absolutely is. The key features of Brahmos NG really center around its dramatically reduced dimensions and weight. The original Brahmos, it's formidable, but it's big. Its size limits deployment to larger platforms, like the Su-30 MKI fighter or larger warships.
Right.
The NG version changes that completely. This reduction enables its widespread usage across a much broader array of military platforms. Think smaller naval vessels, a wider range of fighter aircraft, maybe even future drones or UCAVs. It just means much greater tactical flexibility.
So same punch, smaller package.
Pretty much. But also more than that. Beyond size, it reportedly boasts advanced next-generation stealth capabilities, making it significantly harder to detect and track by enemy radar, other sensors. Enhances survivability, strike probability. Furthermore, it's said to offer greater effectiveness against ECCM electronic countermeasures.
Dealing with jamming and spoofing.
Exactly. Techniques designed to overcome an adversary's attempts to interfere with the missile's guidance. This ensures its lethality and accuracy even in highly contested electronic environments, a crucial factor in modern warfare.
That kind of versatility is really remarkable, and its operational advantages, they clearly extend across multiple domains: air, land, sea.
They do. Its versatility extends significantly into naval applications too. Reports mention higher capabilities in underwater combat, including launch readiness from standard torpedo tubes and also vertical launch systems on surface ships.
From torpedo tubes?
Yeah.
Wow.
This means it's not just for air or land platforms. It can be integrated into submarines and surface vessels with greater ease and efficiency than its predecessor, providing a truly universal missile system. So connecting this to the bigger picture, the operational advantages are profound. Brahmos NG's potential deployment in land attack configurations, plus its enhanced air and sea capabilities, it dramatically enhances India's strategic posture across all domains, allows for a more flexible, adaptable response to various security scenarios. It significantly multiplies the threat an adversary faces, strengthening India's deterrence.
That adaptability seems absolutely crucial for any modern military force. So, if I'm getting this right, the brilliance of Brahmos NG isn't solely its speed, but equally its remarkable versatility and ease of deployment. Is that what positions it so competitively in the global market, appealing to a wider range of needs?
Precisely. Brahmos NG is positioned as a highly competent weapon system globally because it strikes that unique balance. It offers a versatile, flexible, universal supersonic cruise missile system, but in a lighter, smaller, more compact configuration. And crucially, as the reports suggest, it achieves all this without compromising on its high speed, its existing strike range, its lethality, its stealth, or other key characteristics that made the original Brahmos such a success.
Miniaturization without losing the punch.
Exactly. It's a testament to advanced engineering. I mean, it's not just about raw velocity, it's about the sheer versatility and deployability. That makes it a more accessible, adaptable weapon for a much wider range of scenarios. That appeals to a global market that values operational flexibility just as much as raw power these days.
Okay, now let's switch tracks back to the indigenous side. Let's unpack the core technology driving India's true indigenous leap. The Scramjet engine. This really raises that question again. What are the immense technological challenges involved in building one of these, especially given how different it is from, say, a normal jet engine?
That's an excellent question because scramjets are incredibly complex beasts. A scramjet supersonic combustion ramjet, It's an air-breathing jet engine where combustion, the burning of fuel and air, takes place uniquely in supersonic airflow. This is radically different from traditional turbojets, right? They use rotating compressor fans to slow incoming air down to subsonic speeds before they burn the fuel.
Slow it down first.
Right. Or even ramjets, which also slow the air to subsonic speeds before combustion, just using the forward motion instead of fans. A scramjet, in contrast, uses the vehicle's own incredibly high speed to forcefully compress the incoming air without any moving parts like compressors. And combustion has to happen in that unbelievably fast-moving airstream, which presents several truly daunting engineering hurdles.
And those hurdles, they're what make this technology so cutting edge, so difficult for anyone to master, right?
Exactly. The challenges are immense. First, there's thermal management, just dealing with the heat. Hypersonic flight inside the atmosphere generates immense drag from air friction. This leads to incredibly high temperatures, much, much hotter than the surrounding air, both on the aircraft's outer skin and, critically, inside the engine itself.
Things could just melt.
Literally.
Yeah.
This requires incredibly advanced thermal management solutions. Things like active cooling, where you circulate coolant through the vehicle's skin and engine parts to dissipate heat, and innovative materials like thermal barrier coatings, TBCs. These are special ceramic layers applied to engine components to insulate them, to withstand these extreme temperatures, enabling sustained operation. Without them, the engine would fail catastrophically.
So managing the heat is one massive challenge. What else? You mentioned combustion.
Precisely. Second big hurdle, combustion in supersonic flow. This is monumental. Fuel has to be injected, it has to thoroughly mix with the air, it has to ignite, and then it has to burn completely, all within mere milliseconds, while the air is rushing through the combustor at speeds far exceeding sound.
Milliseconds.
Milliseconds. It's like trying to light a match in a hurricane and keep it burning steadily. The residence time for the air-fuel mixture in the combustor is incredibly short. Demands highly efficient, incredibly rapid combustion processes.
Okay, heat, combustion. What else?
Third, scramjets can't start from a standstill. They don't work at low speeds. They need another propulsion system, typically a powerful rocket booster, to accelerate the whole vehicle up to an operational speed, usually around Mach 4 or Mach 5. Only then can the scramjet actually engage and take over propulsion. This adds complexity and weight to the whole launch system.
Right, you need a booster first. And finally, I imagine testing these things is difficult.
That's the fourth major challenge. The sheer cost and complexity of testing. Developing and validating scramjet tech requires incredibly expensive ground facilities, specialized hypersonic wind tunnels or test chambers that can replicate these extreme conditions, speed, heat, pressure, or even more costly, it means flight tests. And historically, flight tests often resulted in the destruction of the test vehicle, just because you're pushing the absolute boundaries of physics and engineering.
So each test is high stakes.
Incredibly resource-intensive. Every successful test is genuinely a major milestone. But despite all these daunting challenges, DRDO in India has achieved major breakthroughs. And what's fascinating is how they seem to have systematically addressed these issues, particularly with their extensive ground testing efforts recently.
That sounds like a monumental achievement for DRDO. You mentioned ground testing. Achieving a sustained, 1,000-second ground test for an active cooled scramjet combustor. How does that specifically de-risk the actual flight testing phase?
That specific achievement, hitting over 1,000 seconds, is huge because it validates the fundamental design principles. It proves the robustness of the materials, the cooling systems, under conditions that simulate sustained hypersonic flight. DRDO, specifically its Hyderabad-based lab, DRDL, has made really significant progress here. They successfully conducted that long-duration, active-cooled scramjet subscale combustor ground test for more than 1,000 seconds back in April 2025. And that followed an earlier 120-second test in January 2025, which itself was a first-of-its-kind demonstration of active-cooled scramjet testing in India.
So they built up to it.
Exactly. Incrementally. The DRDL's scramjet engine uses those active cooling, the thermal barrier coatings we discussed, directly addressing the critical heat management issues, enabling sustained operation. Achieving 1,000 seconds, it's not just an arbitrary number. It represents the ability to manage that extreme heat and pressure over a period long enough for a practical missile mission. This de-risks flight testing significantly. By proving the core engine's endurance and stability on the ground first, you minimize the chances of failure due to thermal or structural issues once you actually put it in the air.
Makes sense. Prove it works on the ground before the expensive flight test. So what are the remaining critical hurdles for India now before achieving, say, an operational hypersonic capability?
Well, the remaining hurdles now largely involve things like flight dynamics, controlling the vehicle at those speeds, integration with the launch platform, the booster rocket, and, importantly, scaling up the combustor design from the subscale ground tests to full-size, flight-worthy engines. But the most foundational propulsion challenges, managing the heat and combustion, they appear to be largely addressed, based on these reports.
That's a huge step forward for India then. This national significance, it places India as only the fourth country after the US, Russia, and China to demonstrate flight testing of a scramjet engine. That's a crucial milestone for developing next-gen hypersonic missiles. And the success validates both the design and the test facility itself, bringing the whole system closer to full-scale, flight-worthy testing.
Absolutely. It's a major capability statement.
So what does this all mean for the future potential? How do these ground tests translate into actual operational weapons for India?
Well, the progression from ground tests to actual flight, that's the critical next phase. And India has already demonstrated success here, too, under that Project Vishnu umbrella. On July 14, 2025, reports indicate India successfully tested the ETLDCM, the Extended Trajectory Long-Duration Hypersonic Cruise Missile.
The Project Vishnu missile.
Correct. This missile reportedly demonstrated sustained flight at speeds exceeding Mach 8. With a remarkable range of approximately 1,500 kilometers, or about 930 miles. This confirms its use of scramjet propulsion, its ability to stay within the atmosphere, combining that extreme speed with in-flight maneuverability.
Mach 8 over 1,500 kilometers. That's serious capability.
It absolutely is. What this means is that India now possesses, at minimum, a tested prototype capable of striking distant targets with unprecedented speed and unpredictability, making it incredibly difficult to intercept.
And the DRDO chairman, Dr. Samir Kamat, he's outlined some pretty clear, ambitious timelines for future developments. Sounds like they're moving fast.
Indeed. The timelines reported are aggressive. Dr. Kamat anticipates that developmental trials for a hypersonic glide vehicle, which is a different type, boosted by rocket then glides, those trials are expected to be completed in just 2 to 3 years, followed by induction into the armed forces.
2 to 3 years for a glide vehicle. That's quick.
It is rapid for such complex tech. Now, for the scramjet-powered hypersonic cruise missile, like the ETL-DCM, that apparently awaits formal government approval for full-scale development. But once it's cleared, Dr. Kamat projects it could reach operational status in about 5 to 7 years.
Still, 5 to 7 years for an operational scramjet missile is, well, it shows real intent.
Absolutely. This isn't just abstract research anymore. It's a tangible roadmap for operationalizing these systems. It's a very clear signal that India is moving swiftly, decisively from experimental validation to prototype deployment, with a concrete path towards fielding these cutting-edge strike capabilities.
Okay, let's shift to the wider impact. Let's unpack the ripple effects of India's advancements on regional stability. Particularly given the, let's say, complex dynamics with its neighbors, China and Pakistan, the ETL-DCM's capability reaching targets in minutes at Mach 8+. It dramatically cuts warning time for adversaries. This fundamentally challenges their existing surface-to-air point defense systems. They simply weren't designed for this kind of threat profile.
Right. The reaction loop is just too slow in many cases.
And the psychological impact on commanders, the political pressure for rapid action, the risk of miscalculation in those compressed timelines, it's immense.
Definitely adds a new layer of tension and complexity. In this regional dynamic, it's also worth noting Pakistan's situation. Reports suggest Pakistan doesn't have its own indigenous hypersonic weapons program currently. They would likely rely heavily on Chinese support, perhaps direct transfers, for such technologies.
Which isn't straightforward either.
No. Even with external help, acquiring these systems would face significant integration challenges. Technical integration, doctrinal integration, making them truly operational and reliable within their existing defense setup takes time and expertise.
And India's advancements, they aren't happening in a vacuum, are they? It's partly a response to regional competition, especially with China.
Undoubtedly. It's a direct and strategic response to a complex geopolitical landscape. China, as mentioned, has already showcased its GDF-600 hypersonic glide vehicle system. This clearly indicates the race for hypersonic superiority is very much alive and escalating in the Indo-Pacific region.
Absolutely. And India's response to this perceived China-Pakistan axis, it's multifaceted, isn't it? It extends beyond just missiles. India is also developing its advanced medium combat aircraft, the AMCA, a fifth-generation stealth fighter jet.
Right, the AMCA program.
This is seen as a strategic counter to reports, for example, of Pakistan potentially receiving J-31 or J-35 stealth aircraft from China, which could significantly alter the aerial balance.
Maintaining that qualitative edge in the air is crucial.
Exactly. The AMCA is expected to be ready around 2035, reports suggest, with ambitious plans for the Indian Air Force to procure about 6 squadrons, roughly 120 aircraft. It underscores India's comprehensive commitment to maintaining an edge, not just in missiles, but in air power, too. A clear signal across multiple domains.
Looking at the broader implications again, these developments inevitably contribute to a wider global arms race dynamic.
Mhm.
As we discussed earlier, these systems fall outside existing arms control treaties. That void persists. So existing frameworks focusing on ballistic missiles, they just don't cover these air-breathing hypersonics or maneuverable glide vehicles. As these systems proliferate, and they are proliferating, they are likely to prompt significant revisions to existing doctrines. Doctrines on deterrence, on escalation control, on strategic stability itself.
The rulebook needs rewriting, essentially.
Pretty much, it raises that important question again. How will the international community adapt? Can new frameworks be forged in time to manage these risks effectively? It's a huge challenge for diplomacy.
And this strategic shift, it's clearly reflected inside India, too. Their internal defense strategy. The Ministry of Defense declaring 2025 as the year of reforms. That sounds like more than just a slogan. It signals an aggressive, comprehensive push.
It does. It's aimed at transforming the armed forces into a technologically advanced, combat-ready force, capable of multi-domain integrated operations, and with a very strong, explicit focus on Atmanirbhar Bharat self-reliance and defense. It looks like a top-to-bottom overhaul attempt.
What are the key objectives of these reforms?
They're broad and ambitious, aiming for a truly integrated, modern military, bolstering jointness and integration initiatives, facilitating the establishment of integrated theater commands for seamless multi-service operations. There's a strong focus on new domains, cyber, space, AI, machine learning, robotics, developing tactics for future warfare using these. The ministry also wants to radically simplify acquisition procedures, make them faster, more robust, and aggressively foster public-private partnerships.
Bringing in the private sector more.
Yes. We're seeing reports of major private firms like Tata, L&T, Bharat Forge, Mahindra Defense being actively approached for critical indigenous programs, like the ATEZ artillery gun, the Zorawar light tank. It's all part of a larger strategy, not just self-sufficiency, but also positioning India as a credible defense exporter on the global stage, building that defense industrial base.
And that emphasis on autonomy, on self-reliance, it seems critical for future warfare, especially in contested environments where external help might not be available.
Absolutely. DRDO Chairman Dr. Kant specifically stressed this need for future weapons to operate without external support, meaning no reliance on GPS or external communication systems that could be jammed or denied by an adversary.
Learning lessons from past conflicts or exercises, presumably.
He cited lessons learned from a significant past event known as Operation Sindoor, which apparently highlighted critical vulnerabilities in relying on external navigation and communication systems in a denied environment. This is pushing DRDO's focus squarely onto building truly autonomous systems. Systems that can function effectively without that external support, ensuring resilience and operational independence.
That resilience is key. So looking across the board, what stands out is the sheer scope of India's defense ambitions. It's not just hypersonics in isolation.
Not at all. There are ongoing advancements across the board. It signals a comprehensive modernization drive. We're seeing reports of continuous development in air-to-air missiles, the Astra Mk2, Mk3, for longer ranges, better maneuverability, air-to-ground missiles like the Rudram series, Rudram 2, 3, 4 anti-radiation missiles to suppress enemy air defenses. Long-range surface-to-air systems, internally known as Sudarshan Chakra under Project Kusha, aimed at rivaling systems like Russia's S-400, providing strategic air defense.
And newer tech, too. Directed energy.
Yes. Significant work reported there, too. Directed energy weapons, high-powered lasers, microwave systems for anti-drone capabilities, other specialized roles, and various advanced naval technologies are also reported to be close to induction. It indicates a broad, sustained push across all military branches to gain and maintain that technological superiority.
So bringing it all together, what does this mean for the future of international security? These technologies, they aren't just faster. They really are changing the very fabric of defense, shifting the foundations of global strategy. As nations like India push these boundaries of hypersonic tech, how will the world adapt? Adapt to a future where strategic warning times are measured in mere minutes, where the lines between conventional weapons and strategic deterrence become increasingly blurred. What does this mean for global stability, for the pursuit of peace, especially when the speed of conflict could potentially outpace the speed of diplomacy?
These are, I think, the defining questions for the coming decades. There are no easy answers.
Indeed. Well, that brings us to the end of this critical discussion on the rise of hypersonic missiles and India's significant strides in this domain.
The developments we've explored today, they're not just technical achievements, are they? They are profound indicators of evolving power dynamics and the relentless pursuit of technological advantage in defense, with implications, really, for every nation.
Thank you for joining us on the Global War Watch Network. If you found this discussion insightful, please do like, share, and subscribe to the Global War Watch Network. We definitely encourage you to share your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about these developments? And to stay even more connected, join us on social media. All the links you need are provided in the description.
Until our next exploration of global developments, remain informed and vigilant.